we'll get started for today's burst of innovation. So again, welcome. It's so good to see you all here. So many of you, I will tell you, we just keep growing in numbers on these 10-minute bursts. So I appreciate that you're here. I appreciate that you're getting value out of it. And I'm looking forward to giving you more. As I've said before, if you're new to this, please put stuff in the chat bar. We interact. This is not just me talking. If you've got a comment or something, or a question, I want to see it. If you have a topic you want me to cover, I would absolutely love to cover it for you if it's appropriate. So thank you for being here. I think today's burst of innovation is extremely relevant as we move into getting our feet under us and figuring out the path forward. I really don't want to use the phrase the new normal because I really don't think that's what it is. And frankly, it's overused. It's really about the path forward and getting our feet under us and working in the way that is going to get us the progress that we need in work and life and everything. Now, as you know, everything I do is grounded in innovative thinking, right? How do we think differently? How do we shift? And I was reading this book this weekend called The Way of the Warrior. I don't know if you've heard it. It's a fantastic book. And it's all about finding kind of like the inner warrior, but at a more of a peaceful place, I suppose. Carolyn just said, I refer to it as the now normal. Oh my gosh, I really like that. The now normal, right? It's normal for now. I like that. Nice, Carolyn. We'll all call it that from here on out. So I was reading this book and it was talking about sharpening the knife and how when you have a dull knife, it takes you 3 times as long to do what you could do with a sharp knife. So the goal should always be to have a sharp knife, sharpen the knife. And that got me thinking about why working harder doesn't work and why it's so frustrating to have that kind of white knuckle, head down feeling. And even though I think in times of uncertainty, that's our go-to, that's what feels intuitive, is to kind of keep your head down, do more of what you already know how to do, check off more boxes, why that doesn't work. And I want to talk today to you about how to work sharper, not harder, because sharper is that knife that's going to slice through faster, more effectively, get you what you need, versus working harder, which often leaves us just exhausted and in the same place that we started. So I want to share 2 stories with you, one personal, one work, that relate to this that I was reminded of while reading this book. And then I want to share with you 3 questions that you can ask yourself right now every day that's going to help you make sure that you are working sharper, not harder, that you are sharpening that knife all the time. All right, so let me share these stories with you. So the first one is a personal one. So back in the day, I used to box, and I was part of a boxing gym. It was actually Taekwondo, boxing, kickboxing. And I think I must have gone like 6 days a week, 4 hours a day. This was in my late teens, early 20s. So kind of moving into college out of high school. And I competed a little bit on a local level. By that, I mean kind of amateur stuff, nothing like super fancy or that you'd have ever heard about. But I loved boxing. I loved the strategy behind it. I loved the exercise, the fitness, the feeling of hard work. And nothing had left me more exhausted than boxing. Love it. But here's what happened. So I've got my lefts, I've got my rights, I've got my hooks, I've got my uppercuts. And my right uppercut, my number 6, as they call it, struggled. In fact, every time I did it, I would drop my hand and I would get hit in return because I always had this bad habit of dropping my hand before I went to do it. And when you do that, as you can imagine, right, you're exposing your face. So my coach worked with me on improving it and what I needed to do to keep the hand up. And he said, all right, I want you for the next week to work on that and then come back and we'll do another practice sparring session. So I go away for the week. I practice every day, every night. I spend extra hours. I am on that bag more than anybody else in the gym. And I'm feeling pretty good because I have put in time. Like I have worked hard to get my right uppercut to look good. And then I get with my coach, my mentor, and we get into the ring and we start just gentle sparring. So don't worry. I know someone just asked me the question of like, did you hurt your face? It was gentle. This was a gentle sparring. This wasn't too bad. And I did it. Like the first thing I did is I dropped my hand, exposed my face, and he tapped me in the face. And I said, I don't understand. I've been working all week on it. And he said, Tamara, you haven't been doing the things that have improved you. You've been doing the same things over and over again. So someone else had let him know I was in it and said, yeah, Tamara's on the bag a lot, but she's doing the same thing she always does. I was repeating a bad habit. And to me, that relates to work and life, because when we think about trying to innovate and trying to improve and trying to move the needle, doing the same thing over and over again is not going to get us there. There's this thing that you've probably heard of called deliberate practice. And if you talk to anybody in the sports world, they know what it is. And it's about practicing the right things, the things that sharpen your skills, not practicing the same things that keep you in the place you always were. So on that bag, on that day, on that week, I was practicing hard, but I was doing the same things that kept me in the same place. I had to switch up how I was practicing to improve. So I want you to think about where in your work, where and how you think, are you repeating? Are you dropping that arm? Where are you repeating? And that's why you're not getting forward. And maybe you're getting frustrated because you're putting in the time, you're putting in the work, but you're not getting the result. It's because the practice is not sharpening your skills. You're just repeating. All right. The second one is a story that I want to share with you that's around work. So I was working as an innovation consultant, and I was tasked with putting together this presentation that was eventually going to go to the clients. But at first I had to get it past my boss. So I put together this beautiful presentation. At least I thought it was beautiful. And I went to my boss and I presented it to him, right? He had to give it the approval. And he looked at it and he said, nope, this isn't that good. You need to go and make it stronger, right? And he said to me, this needs, how do you say? He said, this needs improvement tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So I went away with my presentation and I did what I know to do. I made it better. I improved the images. I crafted some better language, maybe changed the flow around a little bit. But all I was really doing is taking what already was there and making it just a little bit better, right? I was evolving it just a little bit. But I was excited about it because, again, I had worked hard, not smart, not sharp, hard. So I went back to my boss, I presented it to him, and he gave me the thumbs down. And he looked at me and he said, Tamara, you need to think differently about this, not improve it. And he walked out of the room. He was not impressed. And I was left with my head spinning like, what do you mean? I just spent all this time and energy on it. I improved the images. I cleaned up the language. And then it hit me a little later after I picked myself up off the floor when he said, Tamara, you need to think differently about this, right? Not improve it. You got to think differently. And that's all the advice he gave me, but it clicked. And I realized what he was trying to say was, hey, you need to sharpen the knife, right? Not keep using a dull knife and just keep whacking at it, because that's what I was doing with that presentation. So I went away, I thought differently. I thought differently about the consumer insights. I thought differently about how to package it. I thought differently about the flow, like all of it. And I came back and I presented this new presentation to him, and I finally got a smile out of him. And he said, that's what I'm talking about. Now, there was some refinement that needed to happen after that, but I got it. I got it because I worked sharp, not hard. That was the trap I fell into. And I've taken that lesson with me moving forward in everything I do. How do I work sharp? So there are 3 questions that I wrote down that I want you to ask yourself to work sharp, because here's the thing. Working hard, what that really equals is being busy. And I think you and I both know is busy is not the game that we want to be in, right? That doesn't actually produce the results. Working hard is checking off more boxes versus prioritizing the things that are actually going to get you forward. Working hard is repeating, not truly evolving or thinking differently or shifting. That's what working hard gets us. So don't get me wrong. I'm all for putting in the hours. Believe me, I'm at this desk a lot. And I love what I do, and I love the hours I put in. But in those hours, I make sure they work for me. Tracy, you can work sharp any day. All you got to do is do exactly what I'm talking about, right? So working hard is one thing, but I want to make the hours work for me, because here's the deal. When you work sharp, what that really equals is more value in the time that you work, better outcomes in the time that you work. It means not just working on the right things, but doing them in a way that actually moves the needle forward. So if you're in that feeling of, I'm doing a lot, but I'm getting like minimal results, I'm getting minimal outcome, it's because you're working hard, but not sharpening the knife. We got to sharpen that knife. So here are 3 questions that I want you to think about right now. I would encourage you to write them down. 3 questions for you to really start to work in a mindset that's about sharpening the knife. So one is, at any given moment, I just want you to ask yourself, am I repeating my skills or am I sharpening them? Go back to my boxing story for a minute. I was repeating my skills. I was not sharpening them, and that's why I didn't see any improvement. So just ask yourself, well, where am I repeating and where am I sharpening? All right, question 2 I want you to ask yourself is, where can I shift by 1% today? You know, they always talk about with Tiger Woods how the reason he was so good is he'd work on these like 2% shifts on the position of his golf club. I'm not a golfer, so bear with me on my language here, but you know what I'm saying. It wasn't a 50% shift. It wasn't a 180. It was just 2% for him. All I'm saying to us is, ask yourself anytime you're doing something, especially when you're starting to feel that like hamster wheel come on, where can I shift by 1%? If you keep shifting by 1%, you end up in that sharper, more meaningful, more innovative space. All right, the third one is, where can I release that feeling of white knuckle kind of working hard and find a different, more innovative approach? So if you're kind of hitting that brick wall over and over again, or seeing the same challenges come up over and over again, the question I want you to ask yourself is, all right, where can I take this feeling of white knuckling and where can I think differently about this? Now, you all know that we have tons of tools and exercises and insights and videos and on Launch Street. So go there and check some of them out. I would love for all of us to be in a position where we are working sharper, not harder. As I said in the very beginning, it's the sharp knife that slices. It does it easily. It gets it done. It's the dull knife. Still works, but you got to keep at it. You got to put more effort into it. You don't get as good of a result. We want to work sharper, not harder. Harder does not work for us in the way sharp does. Sharp is what gets to that innovation. Sharp is innovation, actually, at the end of the day. So learn from my boxing lesson, learn from my presentation lesson. Those are the scars that taught me that, hey, this isn't about repeating. This isn't about just keeping at it and working hard and keeping my head down. The best way to get the results you're looking for in life is to be sharper in how you look at things. All right, let me know if you need me to say those questions again, or if you had a chance to write them down. I'm happy to stay on an extra minute and do that. Last thing I just want to say is, so for those of you on here who joined as founding members to the Everyday Innovators Tribe, thank you. Friday's bonus innovation jam session, where you bring the challenge and I bring the innovation framework, and we roll up our sleeves and find those breakthrough nuggets of ideas together, is going to be amazing. If you're listening to this and you're like, wait, what, Tamara? You have a couple days to get in at the ground floor level so that you can actually join some of the bonus stuff as well. And I hope to see you there. All right. Thank you all. Let me know if you need those questions again. I haven't seen anything, so I'm guessing you're good. Hope you have a fantastic week and get to it. Bye, everyone. Get in that awkward moment. Oh, thanks, Julie. Yeah, you're welcome. Good. Yeah, use that one question. The second question. It's a good one.